Mafia games has always stood out by staying grounded, especially in a market full of games with superpowers, ancient relics, or world-ending threats. In Mafia the Old Country, you're not a chosen one, you don't have magic, you have a knife, a revolver, and the will to survive, and that's the point. This series has always leaned more into crime drama than action spectacle, focusing on loyalty, betrayal, family, and survival. But the Old Country takes that even further. This isn't about being a flashy gangster, it's about what it takes to become one. The story starts at the bottom, working your way up from a young boy in the sulfur mines of Sicily, slowly getting pulled into the world of organized crime. Expect choices that have real weight, scenes that hit hard, and a focus on grounded violence, not cinematic fantasy. There are no supernatural powers here, just blood, grit, silence, and consequence. And it somehow makes you feel even more immersed because everything feels earned. This game dials up the realism and narrative impact. So if you're wondering what's new in Mafia the Old Country, here's a breakdown of the biggest changes and features. Mafia the Old Country takes the series back to its roots, both geographically and thematically. Set in the early 1900s Sicily, the game focuses on the origin of the Mafia, exploring themes of loyalty, betrayal, and legacy. This isn't just a backdrop, it's the foundation of the entire experience. Hangar 13 put in serious work to make the world feel authentic. The team traveled to Sicily to study its architecture, dialects, lighting conditions, and social dynamics. The goal was realism, not just in visuals but in how the world feels and responds. The environments reflect that effort. Stone villages, narrow roads, terraced vineyards, and countryside trails are all built to match the time period. Everything from the way people talk to how buildings are laid out supports immersion. Gameplay blends narrative and action. Missions are cinematic but structured around grounded mechanics, stealth, pursuit, shootouts, and character-driven moments. It's all powered by Unreal Engine 5, which means you'll see smooth transitions, detailed animations, and highly polished visuals. Traversal also stick to the time period. You'll ride horses, operate carriages, and drive early motor vehicles. Even the sound design uses real vintage engine and hoof recording to match the era. The pace is slower and more deliberate than most modern action games. There's a heavy focus on atmosphere, tension, and personal storytelling. In the Old Country, the word itself plays a major role. It's more than just a setting, it's an active part of the story and a constant presence throughout the game. Enzo Favara isn't a hero, and that's kind of the point. He's not a chosen one or some rising legend. He's just a young man pulled from the sulfur mines of Sicily, thrown into a world where survival means joining the Mafia. And that's where Mafia the Old Country begins, with the protagonist shaped more by desperation than destiny. At the start of the game, Enzo is quiet, obedient, and careful. Not out of honor but out of necessity. But as the game progresses, you'll see him change. He becomes harder, colder, and more capable. Not in a power fantasy kind of way, but in a way that reflects the brutal world around him. Combat is built around close quarters tension. Enzo's specialty is the knife, quick, lethal, and intimate. It's not flashy, but it's incredibly effective, especially when paired with the game's stealth mechanics. Story-wise, Enzo is a complicated character. He wants to rise, to escape the life he was born into. But every step forward comes with a cost. You'll see the impact in his relationship, especially with Don Teresi, who acts like a father figure, and Isabella, the Don's daughter, somehow who becomes a rare point of warmth in Enzo's life, a connection that gives him something real to hold on to. Even as the world around him grows darker, but in this life, even that kind of bond can become a liability. He's far from perfect. There are moments when Enzo crosses lines, sometimes by mistake, sometimes because he sees no other option. The game doesn't shy away from those decisions, and that's what makes him compelling. So Enzo Favara is a quiet storm, and the Old Country is the story of what happens when that storm finally breaks. In the Old Country, the knife isn't just your first weapon, it's your most important one. Set in early 1900s Sicily, firearms are rare, loud, and risky to use. That makes the blade your go-to tool for survival, especially early on. For Enzo Favara, the knife is personal. It's used in close-range encounters from stealth takedowns to one-on-one duels, and plays a central role throughout the game. Combat is grounded and deliberate. You'll use light and heavy attacks, parries, dodges, and charge strikes. Heavy attacks can't be blocked and must be avoided, so timing is more important than button mashing. Fights are quick and brutal, especially in tight alleys or indoor spaces where a single mistake can end a fight fast. As you progress, you'll unlock new knives with different stats and traits. Some are faster, others hit harder. These changes aren't just cosmetic, they impact how you approach combat. The game also features boss-style knife duels, one-on-one fights that test your reflexes and spacing. These encounters are slower paced, more intense, and designed to feel personal and high stakes. Stealth plays a secondary but important role, it's basic but effective. You'll hide in shadows, use walls for cover, and lure enemies with coin tosses or thrown bottles. The AI follows simple, predictable patrol patterns, which encourages observation and timing. Silent takedowns can be performed from behind or at a range with thrown knife. These animations are consistent and while not overly complex, they get the job done and fit the tone. Stealth isn't deep and it doesn't use light meters or detection cones, but it works. It gives you control over pacing and adds option in missions where going loud is a bad idea. Overall, the knife defines both combat and stealth. It's not flashy, but it's reliable, and how you use it shapes the way Enzo survives in a world where mistakes are permanent. Gunplay isn't the main focus here, but when it comes into play, it matters. Firearms are limited, ammo is scarce, every shot has weight. This isn't about clearing waves of enemies, it's about surviving tense tactical encounters. Combat remains third person and cover based. You will lean from corners, time your reloads, and use blind fire in tight situations. It's stripped down and grounded, no flashy takedowns or auto aim assist. Just raw, old school shooting mechanics that reward patience and precision. Weapons are era appropriate: revolvers, bolt action rifles, double barrel shotguns like the Lupara, and even handmade fuse bombs. They are slow to handle, loud, and brutal, exactly how you'd expect weapons of this time to feel. Guns also carry narrative weight. In early missions, you are given an empty weapon purely for intimidation. Later, when you get real ammunition, it signals a shift, both in tone and in your place within the story. Firearms aren't common, and getting permission to use them is treated as a major step. Most of the time, stealth is your best option, but when things go loud, everything changes. One shot can spiral into full-blown chaos, making gunfights feel like breaking bonds, not standard combat loop. It's not a complex shooter, but it doesn't try to be. Gunplay is tight, punchy, and used sparingly, which is exactly why it hits so hard. Traversal is slow, grounded, and built to match the early 1900s setting. You won't be hijacking cars or speeding down highways. Instead, movement is shaped by the environment. Narrow village roads, rolling hills, and unpaved paths that reflect a world on the edge of modernization. Horses are your primary mode of transport. They aren't just cosmetic, they play a key role in missions, open world travel, and overall pacing. Handling feels realistic. They respond to terrain, have weight, and take time to control, adding to the immersion. Cars do exist, but they are rare. These early models rattle, stall, and handle clumsily, exactly as they should. And driving one feels like a statement. You are stepping into a new era, whether you are ready or not. The game doesn't try to make traversal exciting, it makes it authentic. Everything from footsteps to hoofbeats to engine sputters is designed to reinforce the tone of the world. You're not traveling fast, you're traveling with purpose. And that slower pace lets the world breathe, giving you time to absorb the atmosphere and feel the tension between tradition and change. There's nothing here that redefines the genre. This is still Mafia, just told through a different lens. Grounded gameplay, story-first design, and a smaller, more focused world. You won't find experimental mechanics, massive open zones, or over-the-top combat, and that's intentional. It's a slower paced experience, one built around tension, weighty choices, and tight cinematic missions. Not everyone will connect with that style, but for players who appreciate deliberate pacing and character-driven storytelling, this is worth playing. It's not a game built for spectacle, it's built for impact. If that resonates with you, it's probably already on your radar. And if not, it might be one to look into.